Ordinance 2023-74, ordinance 2023-74.
Mr. Baumann.
Move for adoption of ordinance number 2023-074.
And I will second. Questions or comments? And this just goes to prove that I cannot sign my name and run a meeting at the same time. All those in favor of the ordinance, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Ms. Frischie?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Slough?
Aye.
And Mr. Russell?
Aye. That's the end of legislation. Old business. New business. Mr. Wobser.
Last week I had the opportunity to sit down with the mayor, Mr. Craig Kuchbaugh, and Tom Ross. Tom is the head of the Apartment Owners Association, or the Rental Association. I can't remember what the name exactly is, but it's the group that had started to bring the referendum that was ultimately pulled from the list. We had a good conversation with Tom and got the conversation moving on the 3 different referendums that they were putting forth. One of those, with the third one, I would like to address tonight very quickly. One of the things that Tom brought up, and really I think, quite honestly, the overriding theme of his and the people that brought this referendum to us, was they simply want to be heard. And I think that if we saw nothing else, for the folks that showed up last night to the McPherson meeting and the folks that were here tonight speaking on that situation, we need, as a council, it's incumbent upon us to give as much opportunity within reason to our citizens to let their feelings and be known to council and made publicly aware. So I think, I brought up to the full group, they need to let us know what notification looks like these days. It is difficult because, quite frankly, I thought we did a good job when we expanded the radius around an area for letters to go out. I thought that was a good move, but it still wasn't quite good enough. The yellow signs, okay, not good enough. So we've got to find ways around that, so I hope we can get there. The main issue here, and one of the things that I had suggested that would take care of the third thing on the referendum, was that we amend council's rules to go from 4 minutes to speak to 6. If you'll remember, prior to the change, we had been 6. When that got skinnied down, and I don't propose any other changes except that one thing. And I think for the folks that have been here for a while, I have never not given anybody the opportunity to speak if they needed more time. So I don't think this is an issue that would cause any problems with our council meetings. So I'd like to make a motion that we amend council's rules to 6 minutes per person to address council at the beginning of our meetings. And this is specifically references section 1, or section I, number 2, paragraph 2. And I would make that motion.
Second, Mr. Greeno. So we have a motion to amend our rules on the table. Questions or comments? Ms. Warnicki.
I'm basically just not for this. I've been on council for 4 years, and 4 minutes seems like it's fine. Again, during that time, I've never seen where we haven't allowed someone to speak longer. We had to do 4-minute speeches when we were running for office, and you can say a lot in 4 minutes. And also, you can lose track of your audience if you go too long. You need to catch their attention. It's well known within 30 seconds. I think 4 minutes is fine, and I also think that if we're going to amend council's rules, it should come from within council instead of being asked for from outside.
Other questions or comments? And so I'll make one. Jeff, I just pulled up the rules from 2014 and 15 because, yes, I actually have them on my computer. these are the rules that I used as the basis for the reformulation, and it was 4 minutes at that point in time. To move to 6 minutes gives the public more time to address issues than council members, which are capped at 5 minutes per round, and as was proven tonight with Brooks going over 8 minutes. We are very open to public comment, and we actually unanimously allowed more than 3 people to speak on the issue, and gave extra time to 2 of the speakers. I know when the council's rules committee looked at this, the reason we have the 4-minute limit is in the case that there's legislation that a minority doesn't want, and then they try to filibuster the meeting by lining up 100 speakers that are going to take 4 minutes or 6 minutes. That's the thought behind that rule. And I also, if we wanted to address the time limit, we'll have an opportunity at the end of the year when we'll have a committee to look at rules once again, and also committee assignments for the new council. That might be an appropriate time to look at it too. Mr. Wobser.
Appreciate your comments, Councilman Russell, and thank you for the clarification on the previous time. The one thing, however, that we do have in there that I'm not suggesting that we change is if we wanted to, we can limit discussion for or against any specific topic to 3 people. That is still in there. So tonight we decided not to, have limited to 3 people speaking for, or in this case, against the McPherson rezone. So that would keep us from the filibuster issue if we wanted to.
Mr. Harrington.
Normally I don't butt in, but as the acting mayor, I think I got a chance to say that my job as the president of council is to take the rules that you have come up with and enforce them. And I take a lot of flack from council members, some public, that when I do, they accuse me of interrupting. They accuse me of not being, allowing them their free speech. Not whatsoever. Anybody who knows me personally, that is not the case. I'm following the rules that you, as council members, have determined. I understand their concern. I'm not sure if they understand that there is the opportunity by council to extend their remarks as long as needed. I agree. I've never seen it not be agreed to by council as a majority to allow anybody to continue to speak. It's not a free speech issue, none whatsoever. And I think anybody that makes it a free speech issue doesn't understand the rule, and I don't think they understand the council themselves. There might be 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I don't think it really matters, because they're going to get to speak the time that they want. I also sat for a number of years in on the Rules Committee, and when we do address issues like this, there's normally a reason. And it's not a reason to stifle conversation, not whatsoever. That's never been the case. I've never seen any council person try to stifle conversation on any subject at any time. And including me as the president of council, including the administration, that's just not the case. And as a happy compromise, that's up to you. You change the rules, I'll enforce the rules.
Other questions or comments? We'll do this just on a voice vote to start. All those in favor of changing council rules as has been suggested, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. And let's do a roll call.
Mr. Ballman,
Nay.
Ms. Frishy,
Aye.
This is to change the council rules, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Nay.
Mr. Niemeyer? Mr. Palmer?
Nay.
Mr. Russell?
Nay.
Mr. Slough? Ms. Warnicki? Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a split vote.
And the rules are not changed.
5-5.